So I have my first degree in philosophy. Then I have a diploma in archaeology, and I'm presently studying theology. So I have 2 more years to spend in Rome. 2 more years, and when I'm done, I should go back home.
Where's home?
Nigeria, originally from Nigeria. Although for the last 10 years of my life, I've been traveling around studying. What I do is go to new cities to study. That's one way of seeing the world. So I travel to study, then I see the world that way. Okay, I think I've answered the question.
Yes.
Okay, we are here for the Holy Door tours. The places, the major Holy Doors we have in Rome, there are 4. We have St. Peter's, we have St. Paul's outside the wall. We have Santa Maria Maggiore, that's St. Mary Major, and then we have San Giovanni Laterano, that's St. John in Lateran, St. John Lateran. So those are the 4 basilicas we're going to visit. Before I continue, I would like to ask you guys, how long would you want the tour to be? How long?
You know.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I just like not to overstretch people because sometimes people may not be able to hold on for too long. So I want to have an idea of how long you can hold. And I give you all the details you want within that specific period.
We can hold on a long time.
As long as it's open. In that case, that's very good. So just walk gently and just walk.
It's always the worst part is just getting through security.
Look around you. This is called the St. Peter's Basilica. You already know that. This structure that you see was built from the 14th century. Before I explain that, I would like to explain this obelisk that you can see over here. Do we have this in the middle? Do we have this in the middle? What is an obelisk? I'll start with that. An obelisk is a monolithic stone. Monolithic I mean a single stone, hewn out. So it's not middle. It's different from golden. It's a single stone.
Very rarely do we get that.
There are 26 in Rome.
Minus me.
And these things are called Egyptian obelisks. Now, there are more obelisks in Rome than in Egypt.
Hard going, having all 4 seasons,
That will
just
tell you,
having
in the early period, Rome was the superpower, and they always going out to fight with. And if they go out to fight with, they'll come back with the most beautiful stuff in the conquered lands. And so these were one of the stuff.
When we arrived,
Now this was not original.
it was the hottest summer in like 15 years. It was well over 100 degrees.
But it was brought back here because why was it placed? It was placed here by Egypt. It was placed here because it is believed that these obelisks witnessed the martyrdom of St. Peter. This used to be the circus of the area. A lot of Christians were killed around it. And so when this was given over to the Christians, after they started building this church, they were of the opinion to bring this back to the middle of the square to stand as a witness of the martyrdom of St. Peter. So this stands as a witness. I remember that this is called St. Peter's. So this is very, very important. Now there were some myths in those days that when Constantine was killed, that he was cremated. After his cremation, his body, it was the ash was placed in something like a small yard, and then they placed it just above there. But in the 15th century, when we are moving this to the middle, they opened it, and there was nothing inside. That has been because it was believed, because most of the stuff you see here, most of the early churches were given to the church by Constantine. Remember that Constantine was the signed the Edict of Milan in the year 31 AD, and that made Christianity the official religion in Rome. And then he started giving his properties for them to build churches. And so it was believed that the church was trying to repay back the generosity of Constantine by putting his ashes somewhere in the middle of a very important church. But that's not true. More so, when this was placed later on, the cross was placed above it, it is believed, it is said that inside that cross you see above, some pieces of the Holy Cross, the true cross, is inside. The true cross on which Jesus was crucified.
But they don't know for sure.
It is said that it is true. It is said that it is true. Some Christians. On this store, if we have enough time, I will take you guys to a church called Santa Croce in Jerusalem, where you see some remnant of the Holy Cross. You see some the crown of thorns, like 2 thorns remaining, and the nails.
And what church is that?
Santa Croce in Jerusalem, Holy Cross in Jerusalem. I'll explain to you why it's called Holy Cross in Jerusalem. I'll try and do that. Okay. Okay. So that's very good. Now if you look around this place, all around, on top of this piazza, you can see all represent different saints, different fathers of the church. The idea is when you come in here and you look around, you should see one person like that inspire you to become a good person, inspire you to be a good person. That's why we have this 150 diverse people, not only of life, from different walks of life. So if you look around, there should be one person that people say, aha, okay, this person inspires me. If you look at this square again, if you look carefully from the outside, you realize that it has something like this. That's true. So it is believed that the best way to describe this square is to describe it as open wide, arms open wide as an embrace to welcome them. You know, most times we paint Christianity, we paint God as a heartless father who is ready to strike us when we sin, who is ready to kick us out. But the idea should be in our minds that God is a God who is ready to welcome us back whenever we want to come back. The Father is ready to receive us at any time we are ready to come back. Our lives cannot be so dirty that God is not willing to take us back. No matter how dirty a child becomes, a mother is ready to take back her own child. A child can never be so dirty that the mother kicks away the child. You're so dirty, go away, I hate you. The mother is always ready to take back. So that imagery of a mother and a child, that's the same image that this piazza reminds us of. This was designed by Berlin. This piazza was designed by Berlin. It wasn't always like this, it was designed by Berlin. Now Berlin is a very, very important person in Italian art and culture. During our tour, I will show you guys where he's buried. Where he's buried today. So, 2 very important names you will hear all through the tour. And in Rome, if you study art, if you like culture, if you like history, in Rome, is the name of Michelangelo and Bernini. So, Michelangelo. You can group the old historians, the old if you want to talk about the patriarch of Roman art, you group them into 2. Michelangelo and Bernini on one side, then the others on the other side. Like that, you can group them into 2. Like that. So you keep hearing the name of Michelangelo and Bernini all through the story. Keep that in mind. When we go into that, we'll show you guys where he's buried. Not here. Santa Maria Maggiore is buried in Santa Maria Maggiore. Alright guys, let's walk through the first door. Famous guys, what are their names? Very good. And this is Michelangelo's masterpiece, one of his masterpieces. This is called the Pietà. This is the famous church. This is the original Pietà. Now I must say this, different people made Pietà, this kind of statue, but this was very, very popular. This was very popular. That of Michelangelo was very, very popular. Most of his statues very popular. I don't know if you've been to Florence. No. You need to, if you go to Florence, you need to see what he made. It's called the David. The structure of a man. That's perfect. As in, it's the perfect picture of a man. And this is also the one place that's very, very popular. It's called Alright, you guys know John Paul? John Paul II. Okay, this is the tomb of John Paul II. Most of the popes are buried underground. This place, the heart of the monument. Most of the popes are buried there. But after he was canonized, made a saint, his body was brought up here for veneration. And so, here lies St. Paul. But all around the world, especially in Poland, where he hails from, there are different stuffs. Some of his stuff that he used while he was still alive, they are in Poland today. And they are also scattered around here. But this is the thing, right? Today is a saint. Was one of those canonized before Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was canonized. And before Mother Teresa was John Paul. This is where it is.
Castle St. Angelo.
Guys, if you look around, if you look to the ground, I like to use the green one. Look at the color of the marbles on the ground. How many of you have been to the Coliseum?
Yes.
This street?
Yes. Yeah.
Previous street? This street? When you went to the Coliseum, did you visit the Palantine Hill and the Roman Forum?
Yeah. Yesterday.
Yesterday. Now, on the Palantine Hill was the imperial palace for 300 years. Now on the Palantine Hill, there was a massive palace. Like I said, it was the imperial palace. This imperial palace, everywhere was marble. Everywhere you turn, was marble. After about 300-400 years, in the 4th century, when Constantine became the emperor, he decided to build a new city. He called the city Constantinople. Where's Constantinople today? Istanbul, Turkey. So he abandoned Rome and went to Constantinople. Now when he went to Constantinople, the imperial palace was abandoned. And over time, people started taking stuff from there. Now some of the marbles from the imperial palace was brought to the Vatican. And some people tell us that the green marbles that you see, they're actually taken from Palantine Hill. They're actually taken from Palantine Hill. I must explain to you guys that this structure that we are in now has been here for about more than 500 years. They started building this in the 15th century, like I said earlier. But there has always been a structure in this place, right from the first century, because that was when Peter was killed. When Peter was martyred, the early Christians decided to build up something over his tomb so that they can commemorate, remember him. And so they kept on praying there. They kept on praying. But this was not the original structure they built. It was just something simple. It was in the 15th century that we had this massive structure. Why am I saying it? I need you guys to keep in your mind that the major focus of this church is St. Peter. Major focus of this church. Everything in the church points to St. Peter. So we have to keep that in our mind. When we go back outside, I'll show you guys two statues just to keep in your mind that this emphasizes St. Peter. Why do I say that? I'll show you guys something. If you look in front of us, you can see the dome and you can see the baldachin. This canopy is called the baldachin. Baldachin. It's a canopy. The adventure, you cannot remember the name baldachin. It's called a canopy also. Now the dome, the baldachin. Why is there so much emphasis just over here? So much emphasis because just if you drop a needle from the middle of the dome through the canopy, it's going to go straight down to where St. Peter was buried. So St. Peter is buried just right in the road, underneath the canopy, underneath the dome. So there's so much emphasis so that when you come inside here, having seen all this beauty, your mind is this place that this is the central focus. Do not lose that. St. Peter's. St. Peter's. Keep that in your mind. St. Peter's. St. Peter's. So they try to emphasize that. That's why you have all of it. Now this dome that you see was designed by Michelangelo. Michelangelo. Now Michelangelo copied the dome in the Pantheon. Have you guys been to the Pantheon? Very good. When you went, okay, let me scandalize you a little bit more. When you went to the Pantheon, did you look to the top? Did you see gold, bronze, silver, diamonds? Can you remember? No, just a hole. In those days, there used to be bronze everywhere you turn. Bronze. They were removed
Here.
and brought here. And brought it. This canopy that you see, the bronze was taken from the Palantine. So the bronze was
Melted
taken,
down.
melted by Bernini. Bernini, it was Bernini that. But I was trying to explain the dome. Michelangelo was the one that designed this dome. He spent the last 20 years of his life designing this dome. But he copied this dome from the Palantine. But while he was building, he was trying his best not to make it an exact replica. However, the original idea was from the Palantine. So he got the idea from the Palantine. So this is the highest point in Rome. There's actually an unwritten agreement that this church should be the highest point in Rome. So that from everywhere you stand, you can see that nothing is allowed to be higher than it. Although some secular people are fighting that today, and they're trying to build stuff that are way much higher than this. But ordinarily in those days, this was the highest. Wherever you were standing, you could see the dome. You could see the dome. I've explained the dome, I've explained this. This is also made by Bernini. I told you the canopy is made by Bernini, melted and then made. And this is a very, very special canopy. You can't see this anywhere else. This is just special. You made this specifically for this purpose. Trying to emphasize that the point here is St. Peter's. Do not forget, all Christians. The point while we are here, do not be carried away by the beauty you see here. Remember that this is in honor of St. Peter, someone who dedicated his life for God and was ready to die for God. The same thing, the same message Michelangelo passes to us. Michelangelo does this for St. Peter, but he didn't collect a dime doing this work. He didn't collect any money. No money at all to do this work. He did it for the glory of God. You know, we live in a world where everything is monetized. Nobody wants to do anything free of charge. If I'm going to do something for you, I have to start thinking of what I'm going to gain in return. If I'm not going to gain anything in return physically, then hell no, I'm busy. I can't do it. But he did this for the glory of God without taking nothing. And that's also a reminder for us. We should learn to be generous to people we meet along our way in life. And we don't have to be very comfortable. The life of Mother Teresa reminds us that we don't have to be totally comfortable before we can give out to people. And always remember, do not give to those who can pay you back. Remember to give to those who cannot. Most times when we want to be generous, we look for those who can pay us back, or those who we know someday they can be nice to us. We might need their help someday. So I'll be nice to this person because something you never can tell. But the ability to help someone that you know, this person will never be able to pay you back. Never. That's when we begin to show that we are Christians. So I encourage us to do that and also do stuff for the glory of God. Just because of the glory of God. Not seeking human praise, not seeking human approval. You just do it because God, I'm doing this because of you, because I love you. And because I love all that you have created, that's why I'm doing this. And so this reminds us of that. And when we do that, then we are beginning to live like St. Peter's, whose honor we are celebrating. When we're able to give, do all of that, that's another type of martyrdom. We don't have to be killed before we can say that we are living our lives as Christians. The ability to live our lives like that, giving to those around us, living selflessly, we can say we are Christians. So people like to walk through, touch his feet,
And they're all worn down.
and say a little prayer. But we not stay too much because there are a lot of people behind you. So if you guys want to do that,
Okay.
let you guys walk through.
And we'll meet you on the other side.
Inside St. Peter's Basilica. Like I told you guys earlier, just underground here, St. Peter lies here. Underground here, St. Peter lies here. So this is very important. This is the central focus of the St. Peter's Basilica. This is the most important thing they are trying to emphasize here inside the St. Peter's Basilica. Please keep that in mind. I will let us go the other way, so I want to show you guys something.
Can we get there? Can we get to the chair?
Is this the cathedral of the Pope here in Rome?
No.
Where's the cathedral? You have an idea?
Is it the Mary Major?
No, St. John
Oh,
Lateran.
outside of
St. John. So a lot of people think that this is the basilica, this is the cathedral. This is not the cathedral. This is just an arch-basilica, very important basilica, but this is not the most important church in Rome. The biggest, the most important church in Rome is St. John Lateran. but this is more beautiful. This is very splendid. But hierarchically, St. John Lateran ranks as number one. The chair, if you see any chair, that is not the chair of authority of the Pope. The chair of authority of the Pope is in St. John Lateran. You see.
That's just symbolic.
Yeah, very simple. 1, 2, 3.
Over there.
If you look to the top, it's written around the dome. It's written to F the truth. Can you see what I'm showing? It's written, yeah, the letters written around the dome. To F the truth et super petram ide licabo. You are Peter. It means you are Peter. To F the truth, you are Peter. And upon this rock, Petra is rock. Remember that Peter means rock. So it's saying you are Peter, and upon this rock, edificable, I will build. I will build my church. So it's written there what Jesus said to Peter. Jesus said to Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. So it's written there. Now these letters that you see above, these letters that you see that look so small, each of the letters are, how tall are you, sir? How tall are you? How many feet?
5
5
something.
9.
They're probably 6 or 7 feet.
6 feet. Very good. Each of these letters are 6 feet. Each of them 6 feet. So I was trying to ask him so you can imagine.
Yeah.
6 feet. Each of them.
See
6
the
feet.
dove up
Yeah.
See the dove underneath.
Underneath the underneath the baldachin, underneath the canopy. Can you see the dove? Underneath this canopy here. It's a symbol of the rose.
Yeah. So we're talking about Mom. Inside the
Canopy.
Canopy. No, the rays going up. And it's the same ray that's down in the window now. Sunshine.
Yeah, I'm going to explain that. She's okay.
Okay.
Throw coins. You see places where they throw money or inside. Just want to make the main altar. Remember that there is a main altar where they use for mass. And this is the high altar. This is used by only people. When there is a very important. So we have many side chapels that people can use. Some groups come and they want to use the St. Peter's Basilica. Sometimes you can have about 5 masses going on inside the church at the same time. So some people use this side, other people use the other side. And stuff like that. When we are the other side, I wanted to explain to you guys. You guys have seen that sun bust, the golden sun bust. Now inside that did you see the golden sun bust in front of you? Inside that golden sun bust, it is said that the remnant of the chair on which Peter sat as the Bishop of Rome. Remember, Peter was the first Bishop of Rome. So it is said that the remnant of the chair, the relics of that chair is inside the sun bust. Now I need to put this in your mind again, that the story of Rome is a story of two preeminent people, Peter and Paul. Peter and Paul. Most times when you hear Peter, you hear Paul. When you hear Peter, you hear it's a story of a twin, so they're like treated as twins. Why is that so? The origin of Rome, historically, the origin of Rome is built on two twins. I don't know if you have read about the story of Romulus and Remus. Now, according to the legend, Romulus and Remus around 754 BC, they have been born by then, and then they decided to find a city, and then Remus wanted the city to be founded on the Aventine Hill, but Romulus wanted the city to be founded on the Palantine Hill that you visited. And so a disagreement broke out between the two boys. They were twins. And then they said to each other, we would settle our disagreement by argumentation. Whoever has the superior argument wins. Guess what? After the argumentation, each one of them claims to be the winner of the argumentation. And so a fight broke out between the two of them. Unfortunately, Romulus killed his brother Remus, founded the city on the Palantine Hill. So Rome was founded in the year 754 BC. Some say 755, so 754, 755 BC. And so it's that same story that they try to build the church upon. The story of two twins, the story of St. Peter and St. Paul. So that wherever you see St. Peter in the church, you also hear of St. Paul. When we go back outside, I'll show you guys the two main statues of St. Peter and Paul. And as we go around, we keep saying that there's this interplay of Peter and Paul wherever you turn. You see see in this place, you have the list of all the popes like I showed you guys. When we go to St. Paul, outside the world, I hope it doesn't scream at that. Don't let that take a picture. When we go to St. Paul, when we go to St. Paul outside the world, you see pictures of all the popes who are ruled over the church. But here in St. Peter's, you have a line, just a list of all the popes. In St. Paul, you see something like a receptacle below the sunburst of the dome. Just below it, there's something like a receptacle. That's inside where we have the chair I was talking about, the chair that Peter sat as the Bishop of Rome. So just below the sunburst, that receptacle made of bronze, that's where Peter is said to have sat as the Bishop of Rome. Romanism. If you come a little bit closer, at the top over there we have the statues of the apostles. Top over there. In the middle we have Jesus with the cross blessing. But it's important and interesting to note that two apostles are missing there. The statues of two apostles are missing there. The statues of Peter and Paul. They are not there. They are missing. They are absent. Where are they? Where are their statues? Here within us. They are with us. So they are not far away from us. They are within the city. So that's the statue of Peter. That's the statue of Paul. With us. Now, wherever you see a statue with the keys, always remember that that's Peter.
Oh, really?
Any statue you see with the keys, Peter. Any statue you see with the sword, Paul.
Are
Paul
those
keys,
I'm sorry. Are those the same size as those up above?
bigger than the ones above.
Oh, they are.
A little bigger.
Okay.
Now, Peter there has a sword because Peter martyred a lot of people when he was still sword, and he also died by the sword. So you always see any picture you see with a sword like that, that's Paul. Picture with the keys, that's Peter. I will ask you this question, so remember that. Very good. Like I said earlier, the story of Rome is built around this, and all the churches will be visiting. This same story will echoes. Keep hearing the same story. Now, this fountain that we have here, we only had one fountain originally, just the one over there. This was made later on as a just in medieval period. The idea of symmetry was very important for beauty. Today in our world, today, people are trying to invent new styles, so things don't have to be symmetrically the same. Sometimes they put something on one side and it's still beautiful. But in those days, art has to be symmetry. Things have to be balanced, the same half, the same place. So you have to replicate that over here so that you don't have two fountains. In this case, it's beautiful. Okay, very good. Please ask me.
Over the Sistine Chapel, where is the pipe that the smoke comes out of? Can you see it from here?
No, no, you can't.
Okay.
If the smoke comes, you can see the smoke when it's coming out, but you can't see I know this is after also, and that's where the Pope comes out after he's elected. You know that already. And also, it's important for you to know that just above that window where the Pope comes out after he's elected, and you have the statue of Jesus just directly above. That's to tell you that he's actually in the person of Jesus, not in his own. So as soon as he's made the Pope, he's not acting. Latin is called in persona. He's acting in the person of Christ. So no more in his own person. So that's why the statue of Jesus is just right above where the Pope comes out. Very good. This is what I was said to have climbed up when he was going to be condemned by Pilate. So they expect people to go up the steps on their knees. Sometimes it takes a lot of time for you to go up the steps on your knees. Sometimes it takes about 1 hour. Some people want to say a lot of prayers and stuff like that. Some people have quiet time. Some people want to reflect. So I'll try to arrange the tour. I'll do all the tour. Then you can have that quiet, reflective moment, extra 1 hour. And rest also, rest the legs before you can kneel. So that's what I'm going to do. If you guys want to take coffee, tea, are you fine with that? You just take coffee. So the next place we are going to is St. Paul's outside the wall. St. Paul's outside the wall, like the name is, and you must also remember that this was also outside the wall. In those days, people were not allowed to be buried inside the city. So when you were killed, you were thrown outside the city. Just outside the city, just the hole outside the city. So Peter was thrown in a hole here before they built this massive church above it. Where we are going next, St. Paul outside the wall, you see the tomb of St. Paul. You see the chains in which St. Paul was held as a prisoner. St. Paul was buried there, and that's why we are going there to see the tomb of St. Paul. And like I told you again, just like St. Peter, the main emphasis in the St. Paul's outside the wall is the tomb of St. Paul. We have to keep that in our mind also. That's the main emphasis. Same like St. Peter. Okay, but I would like to show you guys Santa Croce in Jerusalem. It's called Holy Cross in Jerusalem. Yeah, but it's called in Jerusalem, but yeah, it's here in Rome. Why is it called in Jerusalem? Because the sand, the earth on which the church was built was taken from Jerusalem. So they spread the sand around and then built the church on it.
I think this is a long way for Jesus to travel. Peter. Maybe 7 years ago. Do I remember going up there? That's where.
Ordinarily face the east. Churches in Rome face the east, except this one. This is not facing the east. Where is this one facing? In the year 1823, there was a massive fire here. Massive fire. And so when there was this massive fire, 30 years afterwards, they decided to renovate this. And when they renovated this, they decided to make the church face the other way. This church was facing the other side. But then they changed it to face this way. Why? So that it would face St. Peter's.
Oh, nice.
So if you stand like this, you're actually facing St. Peter's. So today, St. Paul's is facing St. Peter. Following what I was telling you earlier on, that wherever you hear Peter, you hear Paul. So they are like facing themselves in this wonderful embrace. So that reminds us again that the story of Christianity built on the two of them. Peter was the apostle to the Jews, Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles. If you're not a Jew, you're a Gentile. So two of them form the basic foundation of Christianity. And that's why this is facing this way. Now I would like to show you guys something, and I'll ask you guys later. If you look at the mosaics on the wall, you can see different colors. What color do you think is the most expensive color? What color would you think is the most expensive color? Try again. What color do you think is the most expensive? Gold? No. Some people think gold. Blue. Why do you say blue?
Is it the Mother Mary color? No.
Blue is the most expensive. Blue was the color of royalty. So blue was the most expensive color there. People like to say gold, but not gold. Blue was the color of royalty. So most of the pictures you see, you realize that if you see blue, you know that that's the most expensive thing.
Why did you say blue?
Blue is the color of royalty. In St. Peter's Basilica, the same statue you see here in St. Paul's. The only difference is that size. The ones in the St. Peter is bigger than the ones here. But they are the same. Just First thing I will have us notice is that if you look, okay, let's go to the middle. If you come to the middle of the screen, Basilica and most other churches you will visit, unlike other churches, this is very spacious. It's got double side aisle. This is the main one. Then it's got double side aisle. Most of the churches you see in Rome, they've got just a single aisle. But this has got double side aisle. So this is very, very spacious. Very, very spacious. Again, I'll remind you of what I told you guys when we were outside. If you look at the mosaics over there, what color is the most expensive one? Blue. That's what they're. Now you know. Now you know. Okay, very good. If you look around, I told you guys when we were inside the St. Peter's Basilica, I showed you the list. We weren't allowed to stand there for so long. The list of all the popes now. All around, these medallions are the medallions of all the popes. All of the popes. All of the popes that have built the church. All of them. You will see the most, I'll show you guys the most recent ones. The ones you might know. John Paul II, Benedict and St. Francis. We'll show you guys how it is. Now it's important for you to know this. These medallions that you see, the tiles that are used to decorate or design these medallions, the tiles were taken from the St. Peter's Basilica. So they take a tile from St. Peter to use it inside St. Paul. St. Peter and Paul again.
Where do they take them from? I mean, just from art that's already there?
Some, they recycle so much.
Okay.
They take something and recycle, they use someone else. They do that so much. So that's where that's taken from. Right, I will show you guys a wooden frame of this place that was a wooden frame. Especially for him. Take care of that for you.
I might have something.
No worry. So this is the wooden frame.
I want you to hear.
This is the wooden frame of the church. Like I explained to us earlier on, in the 18th century, when there was some kind of renovations here, one of the workers was it wasn't paying attention, and so there was a massive fire and all these stuff were destroyed before they renovated this place. Now when they were going to renovate this church, people from all over the world donated to renovate, not just Christians, not just Catholics, people from all over the world, everybody. In short, this is a church for everybody. Everybody donated, and that's why this is very important. Like I told us earlier on in the St. Peter's Basilica, this is the venue for ecumenical meetings that involves people of other faiths, people who are not Catholics, people who are not Christians. This is the venue where such meetings are held here in Rome. So this is very important. So this is the wooden frame of what the Basilica looks like.
Matthew, when did it burn?
1823. By 1853, it was already remodeled. Benedict XVI and this is Pope Francis. Now there's a myth that when these medallions are complete, when there are no more medallions for them to put the face of the Pope, of a current Pope, the world will come to an end. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10 more after that. What we call, after that, although it's a myth. So people say that as soon as these old pictures are complete, forget it, the world comes to an end. And then we've heard a lot of myths, and we are still living, the world is still here. Okay. This is St. Paul's. Remember, the central focus, like St. Peter, like I told us in St. Peter, the central focus here is who?
St. Paul.
St. Paul. So let's see the tomb of St. Paul. Then you can also pray St. Paul. Have you seen it, sir? This chain, have you seen it?
Oh, yes.
That's the chain in which St. Paul was held as a prisoner. So just below it, you see the tomb of St. Paul. Just below it. So we can go inside now. I may not be able to talk. If you look at these mosaics over here, if you look at the mosaics over there, I think that's Jesus in the middle. But if you look to our left, that's St. Luke. St. Luke, the first one. St. Paul is by the right. After Jesus, if you look, the first person by the right of Jesus, St. Paul. Then the next one, St. Luke. Now, if you look at the other side, the left, by the left of Jesus, the first person there is who? Would you think it would be Peter? Very good. Peter and Paul, remember that all the time. Then the next person is St. Andrew. Now I want to show you somebody you might never see. Look at the feet, the right feet of Jesus. The right feet. Do you see something like a bee, a white bee? Can you see the white bee?
No.
The right feet of Jesus, by his feet.
Yeah.
Have you seen the white bee?
That's a bee, the white thing?
Yeah, you've seen the white bee.
Yes.
It's not a bee.
Oh.
It's a human being.
Oh.
Now look very well. It's the Pope. It's the Pope Honorius. Pope Honorius was one that gave the order for this to be decorated.
Oh,
His
the
picture is so
face.
small. Can you see the face now?
Yes.
It says Pope
face
Honorius.
is right by his
Pope Honorius
toe.
the third. So he was like, no, I'm not a Pope so you can see me. It's Jesus that should be seen. And so his face is hidden just at the feet of Jesus, a sign of humility. We should be serving. The call, our life is a call to service, not a call to showmanship. You know, sometimes we want to serve, but then we want people to praise us. But when you're serving, your service should not make you take the place of Jesus. You serve, but then you remain at the feet of Jesus, so that it is the face of Jesus that you want to show, not advertise your own face. That's what this is.
Light just went out.
Yeah.
Must have just had an accident.
Yeah. Now, this place is run by the Benedictines. This is where they pray. That's their choir. Famous place for such kind of races, chariot racing, horse racing and stuff like that. This is very, very big. This is more than 6 times the length of a football field.
This is where they have concerts and stuff now, right?
Yeah, they do a lot of concerts, exactly.
This is where Bruce played. Bruce Springsteen.
Just left over here. So it's 6 times the size of a football field, 623 meters.
That guy we saw yesterday, did he go to that?
No, that was in July.
So I will explain why we do the night. And so this is called Santa Maria Maggiore, in English St. Mary Major, Why is it called St. Mary Major? It's called St. Mary Major because in Rome there are 26 churches dedicated to St. Mary, but this is the biggest of them all. So that's why it's called St. Mary Major. It has this exterior is an 18th century exterior, 18th century. Now, very interesting. The bell tower that you see there, the bell tower that you see is 240 feet. 240 feet. You get that? The bell tower, that's the highest bell tower in Rome. Higher than the one in St. Peter's Square. Higher than St. John Lateran. This is the highest, 240 feet. I explained to us that there's something different about that church in this place. What did I say? The double eyes. Yeah, we have only single eyes. That, so you can begin to appreciate how big that could be. Yeah, so that's very. Sees everything. And you see that eye over there? The middle of the eye sees everything. God sees everything. We cannot hide away from God. No matter how much we try to hide away from God, God sees everything. Okay. No, this is modern. God and man. So when Mary gave birth to you, you can see Mary is the mother of God. Do you understand? Yes. But there was a theological argument then that you cannot say that Mary is the mother of God, that Mary was just the mother of the man Jesus. You understand that? Yeah, but then the argument came, no, there was never a time that Jesus was just man. He was always God. So if Jesus was always God and he was given birth by Mary, then Mary is the mother of God. It's maintained by the Benedictines. This is maintained by the Dominicans. Called the Sistine Chapel. This is not the original Sistine Chapel in the Vatican, but it's modeled just like the Sistine Chapel. So it's called the Sistine Chapel. If you come inside, if you come a little bit inside, can you see that thing they're carrying? What do you think that is?
Or the Basilica.
No, this chapel itself. Itself that they're carrying. So they're standing on the hands of angels.
Do they ever open?
Yes, they do, sometimes.
Yeah. I'll let you see it.
In St. Mary Major. Okay, very good. Now, all right, ladies, you're ready to move. I told us that there are two important Michelangelo and Bernini. Okay. Bernini sleeps here.
Oh,
He was buried here. Okay, right there. There you go. Okay, if we move, we have so much to see. If you look over there, that receptacle over there, it's shaped like the manger on which Jesus is born. And this is the appropriate place for it to be placed because this is a church dedicated to Mary, the Mother of God. Now, moving to that receptacle, there's something like a wooden beam. Look into the glass. Have you seen it? If you look into that receptacle, this is something like this is shaped in the manger in which Jesus was born.
Yes.
Now, if you look inside further, there's something like a wooden beam. That wooden beam is the original crib on which Jesus was born.
Is that one that Helen brought over the relics?
Relics, yeah. I will show you most of the relics that Ellen brought back.
Okay.
I will show you.
What's the beam there?
Inside, yeah. Just inside, yeah.
You
That's
see
it.
it? The cherubs are holding either end of it.
It's, yeah. So the shape of what's holding Jesus is actually a crib, but inside the crib, the original is inside the crib. Then underneath here, St. Jerome is buried. St. Jerome was one who translated the Bible from Greek to Latin. So St. Jerome is buried underneath. Alright, ladies. Pure delight. Pius the 19th. Or something we call it the Palantine Chapel. It was furnished by the Borghese family. There's a famous Borghese family in Rome. So it was furnished by them in the medieval. Now, one of the most important or the highlights of this chapel is that image you see in front of you, the image of Mary. It's called Our Lady Health of the Roman People. That's the translation in English. Salus Romani Populi. Our Lady Health of the Roman People. It is believed that there was once when there was some kind of problem in Rome, and they venerated this, and that cured all the problem. Yeah. And again, historically, according to the legend, that picture was made by St. Luke of the Bible, and he made it from a table from the home of Mary. Very old. I was explaining to them that the picture was made by St. Luke in the Bible, and he made the picture from the table from the home of Mary. He painted it on the table of. So it's called Our Lady Health of the Roman People. Very important. Okay.
Ci ha preso manca la testa, ma com'è?
Guys, let's proceed. Okay, this is what we'll do. We'll go here first, I will explain this, and then we'll see this church, then we'll just walk down to Santa Croce inside. Not so far, we'll just cruise down and just walk down. Let's see. This is the holy steps, like we said, holy steps. These steps was brought back here by early. Most of the stuff that's concerned with the passion of Christ is brought back. If you want to go, you have to go on your knees. I wanted us to end the tour here, so that by adventure, anybody wanted to go on their knees. So if anybody wanted to go on there, anybody wanted to go up, you could go. No problem. I dismissed my driver already, so we'll go back to the church. We'll explain the church. Go to Santa Croce in Jerusalem, and if you want to come back here, the choice is yours. And this was the step Jesus climbed. This was the step he climbed to be condemned by Pilate. This is it. Inside the city walls. Remember that most of the places we have been to, St. Peter was thrown outside the wall, St. Paul outside the wall. But this was the first Christian church inside the city. And this is built on the property of Constantine. That's Constantine. So this was the first Christian church. So this is very, very important. And like I told you earlier on, this church hierarchically more important than the St. Peter's Basilica, more important than all the churches we have been to. This is the Holy Door. I'll have you guys know. Side aisles. This is also very big. And if you look around, we have the statues of the apostles all around. When we started the tour, I told you guys that the obelisk, they are monolithic, one stone. These statues that you see are also monolithic. Made from one stone. This is my favorite. Of course, yeah. Why is it my favorite? Let me show you.
Yes.
Yeah. So where do you think Peter and Paul would be? Cross each other. Very nice one. Where? Behind, ahead. Ahead, of course. Cross each other, of course. You see emblems of popes, different popes. This is the emblem of Pope Pius IV. This is the emblem of Pope Pius V. Like the coat of arms. Coat of arms. Pius IV. Pius V. That's Pius VI. Yes. There it is. This is Pius IV. Pius V. Pius VI. How do I know? The question is, if you look today, how do I know this is French? If you look over, if you look above Pius, can you see at the end, you left here, have you seen Pius? Yeah. For 1, 2, 3, 4, Roman. You see the same case. Can you see Pius V? Come to Glasgow. I've once seen a 500 euro again. I say 500 euro. Like, oh God, I want to go inside.
So, is anyone there yet?
Yes, the Pope is buried here. This is the chair. The chair. The chair. Definitely. This is it. seat of authority, the authority of the Pope.
Really?
This shows the authority of the Pope. So this is the Pope's cathedral. This
So-
is his chair.
Does he have a mass here?
Yeah.
And then does he sit back there during mass
course.
and then walks up to the altar?
He walks up to the altar. In every cathedral, so you have to make the distinction. I'll get us together so I explain that. If the number is more, it's easier for me to move people.
Oh.
That's me. And this is private also. It's more relaxed. I'm like, okay, feel free, do what you want to do. Or if it's a group of 10 people, my will supersedes everybody. Else, if I allow each individual to do their own stuff, then they will never end it all. Yeah. Alright guys, I was trying to explain that in every diocese there's only one cathedral. So there can be more than 5 basilicas. We've been going to different basilicas, but there cannot be 2 cathedrals. There's only one cathedral. If there's any other cathedral in the diocese, then perhaps it's called a pro-cathedral. Maybe they want to divide the diocese into 2 and then have another diocese that can stay on it. Ordinarily, only one diocese. And in every diocese, there's only one seat, there's only one chair, which symbolizes the authority of the person in charge of the diocese. So the Pope is the Pope of the whole world, but he's also the Bishop of Rome. So that's also one of his titles, he's the Bishop of Rome. So here comes, this is his chair. And I didn't show you guys in other churches, the pipe organ, how massive. You'd have seen how small the others are. So there are a lot of pipe organs here. Yes, you must have been saying. It means Deo optimum maximum. To God, the greatest, the best. Deo optimum maximum. So to God, it's a dedicatory stuff. That's what it is. To God, like we say in English, to God be the glory and stuff like that.
Oh, there's a
But then,
treasury back there. too.
in front of before the bus,
Okay.
just around the back. Where we are going to, you find another time.
Okay.
This place is called Santa Croce in Jerusalem. What that means in English is Holy Cross in Jerusalem. But of course, we are not in Jerusalem. This is Rome. So why is it called like that? It's called like that because the earth on which this church is built, the earth was taken from Jerusalem, brought here, spread around, then they built this church atop it. Now, why is this church called the Holy Cross in Jerusalem? Most of the relics I will be showing you guys here are connected with the Passion of Christ. Yeah, so we'll see those stuff as we go ahead. So you know what we're going to see inside. We're going to see all these stuffs inside. So I need you guys to keep these images in your head. So that when you see them, you know what you are seeing. This is a reliquary of St. Thomas's finger. So we'll see it inside. But just so you know what you're seeing. The 2 thorns, I told you about this. These are 2 of the thorns. You know, Jesus had a crown of thorns on his head. Now there are 2 knots here that you will see. So it's a reliquary of thorns, 2 thorns which are believed to have come from the crown of thorns that Jesus wore before he was killed. So you see that 2 thorns. The parchment, the title that was written on Jesus' cross. written Jesus, the King of the Jews.
Is that
The original. Yeah.
Now this is stuff that St. Helen.
Eileen, how old is that? I don't know. I don't know if she's Eileen. Elena. The meal between Jesus was crucified. So you see one of them. Although some people dispute that, but it's over the century it has been believed that this is the nail that held Jesus' hand to the cross.
And where is it in the middle?
In the middle.
Can we get close enough to see that?
Very close. It's some part of the wooden cross.
It's in here.
Inside, can you see the wood in the middle? So you can remember part of the wooden cross. The nail, the parchment, the crown of thorns. So you see all of them. I will not be able to talk so long.
But the face is reserved. Oh, kasi ganito. Kasi nasa face.
Her name is Antonietta. She lived around here. She was born in 1930. She died in 1937. She was just 7 years old when she died. But she had a lot of apparitions. So it's believed that she's a saint. So those who live around there, they are working for a canonization.
Really?
So all this stuff, all this belongs to her. All of this advice.
And so the apparitions told prophetic things, or?
Yeah, she did.
What's your name, Matthew?
Antonietta.
And does the dress play a part, or she just happens to be?
No, just this. No, this is just a picture. This is a picture. This is not a picture. This is a picture. Then these are her clothes. These are her clothing. Some of the stuff she used.
Yes. And what did she actually do? She
saw visions, prophetic stuffs, and all of that. And she was just 7 years old.
Oh, yes.
She died in 1937.
She's a year, 7.
She was 7 when she died.
Was she born 1930?
1930. Yeah,
This is the
1930.
dress she wore in the painting.
Mhm. Okay, va bene. Here we are at the end of our tour. Our tour comes to an end here. So for those of you who want to go back to Santa Scala, if you want taxis just across. Yeah.